Hi, everybody. Welcome back to He a Narcissist. He underscore a underscore narc underscore sis. He a narcissist. Um, we're on episode 6. If you guys have been following me, you guys started out with me with episode 1, which was the love bombing. The I'm his everything. I'm exactly what God told him was going to come his way. The answer to his prayers, perfect. To the subtle abuse, the constant picking at my character, constant bickering, constant accusing me of cheating, seeing other people having activities outside of our relationship with the opposite sex. And then it came episode 3, which was the reactive abuse. How at one point it tore me down. The constant bickering, the tearing down of everything that he started off building me up about. All right, so episode 4 was my pregnancy with our son, what that felt, what that looked like, his visit from his mother, and episode 5 was the slipping of the mask. That's what I'm gonna call. Well, it's already named, but anyway, episode 5 was the slipping of the mask, where he began to pretty much step outside the relationship, purchase prostitutes, started all kind of frivolous activities outside of our relationship. From the beginning, him being a hard worker and a provider, to now he's slowly becoming someone I don't know and cannot recognize. And then, which led to my awakening, me breaking down, being stripped of everything, and feeling completely depleted of always trying to make sure he was okay. Basically putting him before myself, and where that led me. And where that led me is right here, what I'm about to explain to you guys today. How the breakup led to my awakening and led to my self-healing, led to me discovering myself all over again. All right, so in episode 5, I left off where he left. I was able to convince him to leave, with unfortunately having to manipulate a situation and convince him that this will be the best thing for you right now is to leave. Once he was out of the home, I explained this also in episode 5, but once he was out the home, things started to come together miraculously for me. Unexplainable. Like, couldn't no one tell me that this was all coincidence? No, absolutely not. It was not coincidence. This was all set up for me. Me individually, for me. And I took it and I absolutely ran with it. But in the course of me trying to run with it and just solely focus on my household, my jobs, and focusing on my mental health, focus on my healing, he would not stop harassing. I changed my number. Once he left, I changed my number to where he could not contact me, and he was already blocked on social medias and everything, so he couldn't contact me in those ways. But he will find a way. Like, there's no way of getting away from a narcissist when you have discarded them. You see, if he had discarded me, it would have been no problem for him to go ahead, do his thing, and reach out in a couple months. But in this particular situation, I discarded him. And in reality, I didn't know about discards until like a couple months ago. And I'm saying a couple months ago, and this happened 2 years ago. So everything that I was doing, like the blocking and going no contact, I didn't read up on this. This was something that was already like being instilled in me through my higher self. Period. That's the only, explanation I had, is through my higher self. Like the discard, like I didn't give him an opportunity to discard me. I discarded him. I make the decision that this is enough. I make the decision, let me block you in every way, shape, and form. I want nothing to do with you. Yes, indeed. A lot of people said, well, you guys have a child together. I didn't give a fuck. I didn't care in those moments of me saving myself and saving my life. I didn't care whether or not we had a kid together, because in all reality, if we were to continue to deal with each other in that matter, my son probably wouldn't have both parents. Let's just keep it 100. So it's either me or him, and I 100% chose myself. I had to breathe. And that's something my therapist told me too, is that I don't breathe. I need to start breathing. And when she says, like, when you can tell when a person still has some unresolved like traumas, because they just stop breathing and they just, you know what I'm saying? And that's true, I guess, but I think I resolved them, but I'd be wanting to get it all out at one time. So I just be like, fuck breath. Fuck breathing. Okay. So anyway, regardless of that, but I am going to be practicing. You're going to see me take moments of just breathing, because I really do need to do that. Because it's really not that serious for me to just stop breathing just to tell a story of some messed up stuff. So you're going to see a lot of that today on this episode. So there's no way, pretty much, when you discard a narcissist, they are going to come at you from every angle. They're going to use everything they possibly can to contact you, because at this point, you have taken their supply without them having a backup supply already on the side. You see, he was getting other supply through, the frivolous acts of the sexual activities he was doing. But understand this, that supply was not fulfilling his need at all. To him, psychologically, he probably thought he was getting the needs he wanted, the supply need he wanted from that. But trust me, he wasn't. So once I discarded him, he had no supply. He was literally like losing himself. He had nothing. I don't have no one to fuck with, pretty much. I have no one to fuck with. And that's pretty much what it was, to where he was reaching out to me in every way, shape, or form that he could. Whether it was, since I changed my number, he would reach out to my emails. Like every email that he knew, he was messaging those back to back to back to back. And once I seen, I blocked. But I'm not going to lie, stunt, nor front. There were times where I was very weak. There were times where he would say, of course, the Hoovering stage, I love you so much, Shay. I don't know what I was thinking. You are for me. If I hadn't did what I did, I wouldn't realize what I'm losing. The don't know what you got till it's gone thing, did all that. And me, still in the beginning of my healing, I was suckered into it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm engaging in conversation, not in even conversations of, okay, we can do this. It was because one thing that I promised myself is that I will not allow this man to live in my home again. Like, we will never coexist. We will never be in the same home together. We will never live in the same dwelling again. We will never dwell together. Like, I don't know how many freaking ways I can say it, but no, that's not going to ever happen again, because that was hell on earth, hell in my home. Never again. That's one promise I told myself. So if we can communicate, and then I have control of the communication. That's another thing. I had control over the communication. I had control on whether or not I want to reply, don't want to reply. Like, I had all that control. So he would email and, of course, saying all those beautiful things. I would reply. And then, once he felt that, okay, I'm not getting nowhere with you, Shay. Because I'm going to keep it 100. in the first couple emails and the first couple ways that he was able to get through to me, communicate with me, it was not about our son. And I think that kind of shook me a little bit. Like, wow, you're not even like, he wouldn't even say, "Hey, how's our son?" or nothing. It was like always about, "Shay, I'm sorry," or "Say, I'm so Shay, I just want to work things." It was never like, "Shay, how's our son doing? Shay, does our son need anything? Shay, can you send me, a video of our son?" Or no, it was not that in the beginning of him leaving. It was always about how we should work things out and how we're so meant to be together. And then eventually I was like, "You don't even ask about your son." And once I said that, that's when it became, "Okay, where's my son? How's he doing?" But then it became harassment because now he feels like, "Okay, I need to ask about my son." That will give me that to where I can constantly like call and talk and da 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 da. She wants me to focus on my son. I'm gonna focus on my son, and became obsessive with it, but obsessive to the point to where it was all. You can tell it was so fake. You can tell it was all fraud. You can tell it was so unreal. It wasn't authentic. It was because I mentioned it. Now he wants to try. It was pretty bad. And then it went on to, so this is like the first year after we separated. I'm going to tell you everything he did as far as hoovering. So as far as hoovering, trying to sucker me back in. Okay, so he left in September. So this was, he left in September of 2019. September of 2019. And through September 2019 up until, let's go with the beginning of March, our son's birthday. September 2019, the kids, I'm trying to piece everything together. September 2019, I remember him, this is his hoovering, constantly calling, emailing, all that, randomly shipping clothes for all the kids. I mean, my biological, him and I son together, like he just went in, school shopping for them. Like he went into the point to where I literally didn't have to buy anything for my children except for school shoes, like shoes for school. That was it. Like I didn't have to buy nothing else because he did all that. But understand this, ladies and gentlemen, that was all part of his hoovering, trying to suck me back in, trying to have me think or manipulate me to think that he cares, that, oh my God, I need him, or in like, period. Like he did all that. I'm trying to think. So December, my birthday comes around, he sends me gifts on my birthday, like all this stuff. And at this time, from September to March of 2020, it was so off and on in communication because of the way he communicates. If he feels like he's doing a lot, like say for instance, he bought the kids clothes and stuff for school, randomly did that, and I don't respond to him the way he feels or would want me to respond. Say if I didn't respond like, "Okay, come back home." If I didn't respond like that, oh my God, that next communication that we have, it's him coming at me with "You're probably sleeping with somebody else. You already moved on. You've been seeing somebody this whole time. I'm not stupid, Shay. Da 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 da. Woo woo woo. Our son's not even mine. You probably fraudulently doctored up that the result of the DNA." Like all this stuff. Like he would literally go all the way there to where, of course, block that line of communication, and every email address he will send me from, I will block it. But I'm telling you, when a narcissist has lost supply and you had discarded them before them able to re-up on supply, they will harass the fuck out of you. And he was making up email addresses every chance he got. Once I blocked one, he did another one. Same thing with the number, my Google number that I first started off with when we met. He began to utilize that number again. and block that. And the same thing, he'll start another number. He'll just keep getting these text-free numbers, those messaging apps, and just constant. It was literally nonstop. And it wasn't really even about our child. So that leads me to March. March is our son's first birthday. March is our son's first birthday. I don't even remember. I remember, of course, we had a good time for my son's birthday. We enjoyed it. I want to say February. Breathing, sorry. I want to say February was when he first made his pop-up trip. But I could be very much wrong. Like Christmas, he got my son a gift for Christmas. He got it shipped over. February, it was around when COVID first hit, the beginning of COVID-19. I remember him flying out just out of nowhere. And it's like 11 o'clock at night, probably midnight. And he's knocking on the door. Like he don't call no nothing. Don't give me no heads up or nothing. But he's knocking on the door. Take note, he's from a whole different state. So he flew in during COVID, knocking on the door, 11 p.m., 12 midnight. I looked through the peephole and I'm like, what are you doing? He's all masked up and stuff, and he's like, Shay, it's a whole pandemic out here, and I need to be with you guys. I don't need to be sheltered in out there. I need to be with my family, And of course I'm telling him, like, we're not your family, and no, you don't. Like, you literally just took a flight from one state here, and that's where COVID's at, like, in the airports. Like, what the fuck? Like, no, you need to go quarantine somewhere. Like, and I'm telling them, like, this is something you discuss. This is not something you just hop up and do, like, okay, I'm just going to go fly out. You know what I'm saying? Like, no. So, talking through the door, because I didn't open the door, nothing, like, bro, like, I don't know what this shit is about, this COVID-19 is about, and we're not about to catch it from you, period. He ended up telling me, well, he didn't do a flight back, and he needed money to get a lift back to the airport, and of course, blah, da, da. I'm on my phone getting you a lift, lifts outside, and then he leaves. It was such a waste. It was just such a waste. Like, he would do random stuff like that. And that was in March. February, don't remember. Like, but I knew our communication was up and down, up and down, up and down. And it was up and down, up and down, up and down because I was still having what they call trauma bond. Where you're just up and down in a relationship, and you kind of get used to that, to where you feel weird without it. And that's kind of where I was at. I still had that trauma bond, that up and down, up and down, up and down. I remember when he came out here, then he left. That next day, we spoke on the phone. I believe I reached out to him to understand, like, why he would do something like that. And that conversation was so bad. Like, he still didn't understand what was wrong with what he did. Like, he could not accept the fact that I will never be with him again. Like, he could not understand the fact that I will never want to be in a relationship with you ever again. Like, he couldn't accept that. He didn't understand that. Like, he hated for me to even speak that up, but it was the truth. Like, I didn't want to be with him ever again. So that conversation went a lot like that. And like I said, our conversations was off again, on again. Like, I will block him, and then I won't hear from him for like a week. And then I'm like, oh my God, let me reach out to see how he's doing. Sick, right? But that's how I was, like, at that time. Like, because at the end of the day, like, I still cared about this man. At the end of the day, I still cared about his well-being. I'm trying to think. It got to a point where I was just like, you know what, Shay, stop. You have to go completely no contact. And my main thing was my son has family out there. So I ended up reaching out to the mom I gave her a number. I gave her a number she can contact, so she can video chat with her grandson. You know, me thinking this woman does give a fuck. I'm still thinking this woman gives a fuck. So I attempted that because I knew, like, okay, yeah, his dad is this, but let me give the grandma a chance. It's not right for my son not to have any relationship with none of his father's side just because of who his father is. And we did that. I communicated with the mom for a while. But his mom, you can tell, like, his mom really had no interest in communicating with her grandson. And because my son was 1, but he was still able to, like, you know, I mean, you still want to, I mean, I would think, but anyways, I guess it was no interest to her. And eventually, the number that I gave her, he ended up getting it. And I mean, I remember the night that he ended up getting it, because that phone was going freaking crazy. And I remember just turning the ringer off on it. And because it was like in the middle of the night, like he had a thing, like he couldn't sleep at night. Like he'll be up all fucking night, like literally all night. And I just remember just turning the ringer off. I didn't even block the number. I just turned the ringer off and finished, you know, slept. That morning, I reached out to him, like, how did you get the number? And he was like, I'm not going to lie. I went through my mom's phone. I figured out which number was yours. Because I told his mom not to give him the number. I told her to store me the number under something else that he could never find out, you know. But I don't know how that played out, but he got the number. He was calling like crazy. I ended up basically changing that number. Like, yeah, I tried. Like, I just try every avenue I can not to be the person. Like, I just want, on my conscience, like, for me, I wanted to try. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to try. It in reality wasn't really for me. Like, I tried as much as I could and it almost killed me. Like, Shay, how much trying do you need to do? But I just wanted to try as far as my son having a relationship with his other side. Let's see. Yeah, that was a hoovering. And hold on. I'm sorry, you guys. Like, I look at my notes. So I blocked all areas of communications. Attempted, you know, the communication with his mom, that and shit. Yeah, it was just about me. That's basically the episode 6. December 2019, I want to say from like May 2020, me and him, our communication was good, bad, good, bad. And I'm saying good, bad, like it was never a week of good communication. It was like a day of good communication, and the next morning he's waking up texting me, he was so weird. Like, I don't even want to say it, but he would be like, he'll wake up the next morning, or he probably didn't sleep all night, but the next morning I'll wake up to a text with him saying, I heard you breathing heavy over the phone while we were talking, like, was somebody eating you out? Like, he would just, I'm sorry for terminology and all that shit, but that's where his head was at. Like, we could literally be having a good conversation the night before, right? But the next morning, that's where his head would go, and that's where it would be like, okay, I gotta block you again. Like, it was just so bad. It wasn't even, we couldn't even get 2-3 days of good communication. It was always one day, then we go a month without talking, then we're talking again, and it's 1 or 2 days of good communication, then it's bad. All because if it wasn't like this for him, like it was no working through things. It was, okay, let's have a conversation. We work through it. Can I come back home? That's how he thought or felt it needed to be. And if it wasn't like that, he would just sabotage it, or he would just try to upset me, make me angry. Like, I have messages and emails in my phone to where he was like, it's like I have to talk down to you to get your attention. Like, it's like I have to call you a bitch to get you to respond. And like, it was like he would purposely do that shit for a response. I eventually stopped responding. Like, you do your thing. Like, come on. You know what I'm saying? Because as I'm still going through this, like I'm still like taking my time out, and I'm taking my time out to like work on myself and heal from all this crap. And the reality of it is, I truly believe like he started to realize that, like he started to see like, wow, like Shay is changing. Wow, this she ain't the same. Like these boundaries, I'm feeling them, and they hurt. Like, and eventually he was gonna have to give up. So that was that. So from September to about May, September 2019 to about May of 2020. And then I want to May, June of 2020 is when he moved back to California, and he was homeless. He came out here with nothing. So he was homeless for a while and got back on his feet some way, somehow, miraculously. And from there, we're going to go into episode 7. This episode is very short, very brief. My last ones were pretty long, but this one's very short, very brief, because everything I need to tackle, all the stuff I need to tackle, I don't want to just like rush through it on this episode. So I will go further in to everything that serves huge importance in my story, which is episode 7, where I speak about For Our Son. And For Our Sons will be my attempts of the co-parenting, the big event that happened where he pretty much popped up at the house and tried to, it's his son, so I can't say kidnap, but pretty much tried to just kidnap our son, which led to everything else that led to everything else. So I just want to give you guys an example of what the hoovering was after I discarded him. And I want to touch on this for anybody that's in this type of situation, whether it's with your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, your uncle, your auntie, your grandma, your grandpa, or, your partner. Like, if you're dealing with somebody that you now know to be a narcissist or has narcissistic traits, and you feel that it's wearing down on you, and because I'm telling you, when it comes down to it, they really do suck your energy. They suck it all out of you till you literally have none. You know what I'm saying? To where you're depressed, you can't get out of bed, and you can't even point out the reason why you're feeling the way you feel. Best thing you can do is, before they do it to you, do it to them and let them go. Because the worst feeling I could imagine is when they say, I'm gone. I wish he would have, not that I wish he would have did that to me, but I'm saying, like, I don't know how I feel if he was the one that said, all right, Shay, I'm going to go ahead and go. And then he go with somebody else, and I'm just stuck and confused, like, what the heck? Like, I could just imagine the confusion. I say, sit with it for a while, and if you really feel like this is something that's not going to serve you, being with this person, communicating with this person, or having this person in your life, you be the person to separate yourself. I hate the word discard because it sounds so harsh, but you be the one to separate yourself from that person and go from there. Just go from there. Like with me, I literally had to like step up, you know what I'm saying? And just be like, okay, bye-bye. And then everything started happening for me. Like everything started like literally miraculously happening. That's when I knew like I did right. Like I don't second guess or question myself in that manner, because signs show, like, Shay, you did exactly what you needed to do to get your life back. And I got my life back plus. You know what I'm saying? I got my life back plus. Like, I've said this in, I think, almost every video, and I can't imagine allowing that person back in my life and being the person I was in 2017, 18, and 19. I couldn't imagine being that person again. I couldn't be that person again. Like, I've sat with it for so long and grown so much, I cannot even go back to that. Like, I can't even fathom the thought of that. Like, My life is so much different in every aspect of the word different. Like I feel different. I react to things differently. You know, at one point I'll be raw. I will snap at the drop of a dime on whatever, whenever, however. You know what I'm saying? And I'll handle the consequences later. Like that was me. Like me now, you'll be a person couldn't get a reaction out of me unless you were like messing with my children. Otherwise, you know what I'm saying? Like a threat to me or my children, that's when you would get a reaction out of me. A lot of people are miserable in this world. A lot of people are unhappy with themselves. A lot of people are dealing with things within themselves that they project onto others. Period. They just project it onto others. Like I wake up miserable today, I'm gonna make your day miserable. Like people do that. And they don't, I'm not gonna say they do it intentionally. A lot of times it's not intentional. A lot of people don't even realize they're unhappy. A lot of people will literally sit up and think that they're happy, wake up every morning and think that they're happy. I can admit to you guys right now, the whole time I was in a relationship with this person, up until the moment to where I was down, fucking balled up in the corner in the bathroom, I thought I was happy. I thought, oh my God, this is the best man I've ever had. I mean, it couldn't get no better than life at that moment. He is this, he is that, my life is this, my life is that. And the whole time I was being sucked of my energy. I was getting sucked out of life. Period. I was getting sucked out of life. And I thought I was happy. I mean, people can tell you, like, you'll see, like, well, they're gone now, but you can see, like, when they're not gone, because and that's one thing, too, like, they say, like, delete or tear up pictures of your narcissist or whatever that may bring up some type of feelings. I get no feelings in seeing a picture of him. I get no feelings, no nothing. Like it's not hate, it's not love, it's like nothing. You know, it's my son's father, and I'm not going to do that to my son. I want him to know his father really does exist. Wow. But anyway, I was saying something very important. No, if you can look at the pictures from the time me and this man got together up until our breakup, and like when I would post pictures of him on my social medias and stuff, like you would think outside looking in, like, wow, they look so nice, they look so happy, da 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 da. And granted, inside I thought I was happy. I didn't know what happy looked like. I didn't know what joy looked like or felt like until now. Like, all right, you guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in to he_a_narc_sis episode 6, episode 7, like I said, what it will entail. And sorry it's so short, but I mean, I just wanted to touch on the hoovering after I discarded. Yeah, the hoovering after I discarded, and how I attempted to go no contact, but due to the trauma bond, it was almost impossible for me, even though I was the one that did the discard. Please continue to do what you need to do to better yourself in your life. Do not allow others to critique, predict your future. And another thing, a lot of people question having children with a narcissist. How do you do it with, like, when you have a child with a narcissist? That would really be touched on next week on the attempt of co-parenting. That would really be touched on next week. But I want to say the worst thing you can do is tell yourself, I'm going to make it work for my child, for my son, for my daughter, or I'm going to stay with him, her, for the children. It's the worst thing you can ever do when you're a parent and you need to co-parent, or you need to, you know, That's the worst thing you can do, is try to make it work for your children, because you are doing more harm to your children than you are doing good, because your kids will grow up traumatized, from the constant witnessing of the psychological, the mental, the physical, the emotional abuse. They'll grow up traumatized with that. And it's so sad, because I will sit here and say myself, like, I'm a product of that environment, like what it did to me and how it fucked me up growing up, thinking it was normal, thinking, well, my mom went through worse, or my dad went through worse, like thinking that, to where what I went through was nothing, but it was a whole lot. You know what I'm saying? So I say that to say, don't do it for your kids. Don't stick with the narcissist, or don't stick with anyone that affects who you are or keeps you away from being the best person you can be. Don't stay with a person like that for your children or for the family. You're doing more harm to them than you are doing good. It's a lot. It's a lot. And unfortunately for me, I didn't realize how fucked up, like, my childhood was, until freaking 35 years later. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't realize how fucked up and how not okay my childhood was until like 35 years later, because I thought it was normal. I seen a lot of it, so I thought it was normal. It wasn't just my household, because my best friend's household was the same way. You know what I'm saying? Or it was just, it's sad. It's sad how we become so... It's so sad how we normalize abuse. It's so sad how we normalize neglect. It's so sad how in the past it was all normalized, like it was all normal. And in all reality, it's not normal. It's not. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing now. I'm speaking aloud. Like I'm saying, I'm using every avenue that I possibly can just to speak on it. And just start off where I realized, and then taking it back, and then of course taking it forward, because the moment I realized this shit was fucked up was the moment I was balled up on the bathroom floor, not knowing who or what I was. That's when I realized shit was fucked up. And it didn't start with me meeting the narcissist. It didn't start there. It started from the moment I was birthed into this world. It started at that moment. That's where it started. I mean, granted, me being with the narcissist woke me up to it, but it started there. And it's very important that I address that, and I let everybody know, like, he a narcissist. Yes, that's the name I'm going under, because that's what my interaction and being around that's what brought me to who I am right now. So yeah, that's center point of my awakening. But it goes all the way back, because growing up, but once I began to date, I wasn't a good person. And I'm going to speak that aloud. Like, when I started to date, I wasn't a good person. I was not a good person at all. A lot of the traits that narcissist used against me, I had once used against people. I'm being 100% honest and transparent. Like, understand this. That narcissist used all the trickery I used to do on me, and I didn't even realize it. But that was supposed to come towards the end of my season. So, bloop, bloop, bloop. This is the end of episode 6. Thank you guys so much. We're going to move on to episode 7 next week, which is the attempt to co-parenting. We all have a story, and it's up to you to tell it. You don't got to. I choose to tell my story. Because, honestly, I feel in the world today, the more you know, the better you are off. Like, not knowing and being totally, like, ignorant to certain stuff put you in a bad situation. And that's where it led me, like, in a very bad situation, because I didn't know about narcissism. I didn't know that I carried narcissistic traits from my mother and my father. I didn't know that. I didn't know that until I got a taste of my own motherfucking medicine. And I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. Whew. Episode 7, you guys, next week. Thank you guys for tuning in. I know it's short. I said that like 14 times already. Probably less. Don't judge me. But episode 7 is next week. Thank you guys. Learn, leave, heal, and live. You got this.